Hi everyone! Today we are working on the shirt tissue holder design. This is a fun, easy project, perfect for beginners, and just makes things a little nicer than your standard packaging. You can use these as cute, simple little gifts and are a great way to use fabric scraps, meaning you can have them match a new bag or an actual shirt that you may have just made, as well as helping to cut down on waste. To insert the tissues, you just slide them in through the opening. Easy, simple. So let's get started. First, you want to print out the pattern pieces scaled at 100%. On page 1, I have included two boxes, a 1-inch test square and a 4 centimeter test square. Go ahead and measure each box and make sure they are sized accordingly. This is important so that the design doesn't come out larger or smaller than intended. After cutting out all of the pattern, please note there is an arrow which includes the word grain on each piece. This line is meant to be cut parallel to the edge of your fabric. With your fabric of choice, set everything up to begin cutting. You want to make sure that the fabric is folded with the design facing outward. Lay out your pattern, ensuring that the grain line lines up with the grain of your fabric. Then cut out each piece until you get the appropriate number of panels indicated on the pattern. You're going to start with pattern piece number 2, the back portion. Make sure that both of your fabric pieces are facing wrong side together. Then secure in place with either pins, clips, or whatever your preferred method may be. Sew along all 4 edges, leaving a 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter seam allowance. Once finished, you are going to take pattern piece number 1, the front portion. Fold each piece of fabric in half, lengthwise, ensuring that the wrong sides of the fabric are facing together. Press the folded edges firmly with your finger, then further secure by ironing them. You are going to stitch along each folded edge, leaving a 3/8 inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. Now you will use the back fabric as a template to determine the overlap of your front 2 pieces. Begin by aligning the unsewn edge with the edge of your back, the folded side going towards the middle. With both front pieces together, they should be the same width as your back piece while overlapping in the center. Pin in place and then double check your sizing by laying fully on top of your back piece. Again, they should be the exact same width. Be sure to remove the back portion, then you are going to secure the 2 front pieces together by sewing at the top and bottom where they overlap, being sure to leave a 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter seam allowance. Now you have made the opening. As you can see, this is where the tissues will go in at. You will then move on to the collar, pattern piece number 3. Fold the piece in half lengthwise with right sides together. Pin the short edges in place. You are going to sew the short edges, leaving a 1/4 inch or 7 millimeter seam allowance. Cut the top 2 corners along the folded edge. Be careful not to cut through any of your stitches. Then turn right side out and carefully use the tip of your scissors to poke out your corners. Firmly press your piece before you begin to sew. You're going to stitch the 3 sewn edges, leaving a 1/8 inch or 3 mm seam allowance. Fold the collar in half to find your middle. I mark my place using a regular sewing pin. However, you can use a pencil, chalk, or any other method that you may have. You're then going to fold your short edges inward towards the middle and secure in place with a pin. Now press your piece to fully secure. Take the back piece and fold in half lengthwise to find your middle. Mark your place with your choice of method. Line up the middle of your collar with the middle of your back piece, making sure the unsewn edge of your collar is facing towards the top. Then pin in place. Now for the sleeves, you are going to use pattern piece number 4. Take each piece and fold them in half, making sure that the wrong sides are facing together. Firmly press along the seams to secure in place. Then stitch along the folded edge, leaving a 1/4 inch or 7 mm seam allowance. Once stitched, fold your sleeves in half. Secure your sleeves to the back fabric, making sure that the folded edge is pointed in towards the center. Align the top corner of your sleeve with the top of your back, then secure in place with pins. Attach the sleeves and collar to the back portion by sewing along the edges, leaving a 1/8 inch or 3 mm seam allowance. Now you are going to take the front piece that you made earlier and place the side you want to be shown facing down on top of your back portion. After lining up both of your panels, pin in place along all 4 edges. Sew along all of the edges using a 1/4 inch or 7 mm seam allowance. In addition to your straight stitch, go along all 4 edges again using a zigzag stitch to ensure a stronger hold and keep all of your pieces in place. Cut through each corner, being careful not to cut through any of your stitches. Now take your piece and turn everything right side out. Then use the tips of your scissors to carefully poke out the corners. Fold your collar down and then press all of your seams. At this point, you can add some extra detail by attaching 3 small buttons along the top flap of your opening, or you can just leave it as is. Just insert your tissues and then guess what? You're done. You've officially made a shirt tissue holder. Thank you so much for following along with me on how to make this shirt tissue holder. I hope you had just as much fun as I did making it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button